and Andrea, because Andrea seemed like they would just come in at any time for any reason.
I like
It
how
just
we're
seems,
just saying this to the audience now,
yeah,
but it is facts.
it just seems like she's just very bored and has nothing to do. And you just go, oh, we're making content. If it's possible that she's like watching the stream and we'll just jump in the middle of it, like, oh yeah, I want to do something. Welcome to Not Safe for Wonks. Like, we just keep it real out here. So, you know, we don't care. We don't care about your comfort, your pleasure, your entertainment. We're here to just tell the truth. And it doesn't matter who's listening. We just do our thing. So Brandon's here. Kennedy's here.
I think it's just gonna be us today, but we're still gonna rock. We got things that we want to talk about for sure. There's a lot in the news. There's a lot in the news.
We talked to Donna yesterday, and it's like a whole new world just between yesterday and today.
Yeah. And that's kind of how it's been every day for the last few days. It's like, you know how like people have made all these memes about like time feeling fast during 2020. Not only does it feel fast, but it's getting faster.
Yeah.
Like the early months of 2020, it was like every day, you know, felt like a week. Now every day feels like 10 years.
Yeah.
Like
I definitely feel my bones just turning to dust and ashes every time I hop on this stream device. So let's just get into what the biggest news is. And I guess that's like,
Antifa, probably.
Trump is doing what people like Trump do when they are in a corner, and that is like explode and take as many people as possible with them. So Trump is at war with, let's back up a little bit. Trump is in his bunker. Trump is shook because
he's very shook right now.
In Washington, D.C., they're not like fucking around. They're not waiting on, don't boo, vote. They're not doing that. You know, they're fucking shit up, and they are going directly at the White House. If you've seen pictures / video, DC is like just a smoke show. The shit's on fire, y'all.
Yeah, it's crazy. And when we talk about protests being underreported, like this is definitely some shit that is severely underreported right now. If you are only watching the mainstream media, you are not going to know what is really going on.
It's right.
Yeah. They basically made it sound like, well, they've been doing this thing where it's like, and I mentioned this yesterday a little bit, we were talking with Donna, but like they've been doing this thing where it's like they won't admit that these protests are happening, but then they'll publish stories that like 60 Secret Service members were injured in DC protests. That doesn't happen like a normal routine.
These dudes ain't out here stubbing their toe. Didn't Trump declare it was MAGA night? Why is Donald Trump in the basement during MAGA night? I feel like if it's MAGA night, I'm got my hat on, got my cowboy.
Donald Trump should be out there. You know what? I'm gonna get up. Donald Trump should be out there on the balcony right now, just whoop whoop. MAGA night, just getting down.
Wait, can you continue the MAGA night dance while you have the full camera?
Whoop, whoop,
Thank you.
Getting down. MAGA night.
That's the content that we're looking for. Our viewership has just spiked. That's just what we do here. But yeah, but his ass is in the bunker because it turns out all those old people on the hover round, his whack ass bikers, all the people on Twitter that talk about
the
Boogaloo boys, they're not protecting the king. All these people on Twitter that fucking troll us talking about how they're World War II historians and they know everything about the Nazis and Antifa or the Nazis. Like, none of these people are actually, they don't want that action, man. They don't want that action. And the action's happening. So imagine you're Donald Trump and the whole world is like laughing at you. You're getting your ass kicked, which is something you're very like, this is hitting his sore spots. He's throwing a tantrum. So now that he's gotten his ass kicked, how do you rationalize that? Well, you can't, if you're Donald Trump, say like, oh, the American people have just had fucking enough of me. You've got to invent some kind of conspiracy theory. You got to invent some kind of enemy to rally people against. And you know it's Donald Trump. So this is a man who does not have a grip on reality. He does not like live in the same real world that all of us live in. Like 2 months ago, he was talking about how this virus was a hoax. And I swear y'all are gonna let him forget about that, because I feel like that's the only response should be had to anything that this man says for the next few months. But given that, he's in a corner, he's having his delusions, he's having his delusional fantasies, and so now it's an organization, because it's even worse if he just
did you see the thing where they said they were going to start
pitchforks and they're like, "Fuck you."
Did you see where they said they were going to start rounding up the quote unquote leaders of Antifa?
Yes.
Antifa does not have any leaders. Find me the leaders of Antifa is like an impossible.
This reminds me a lot of God, I always hate to go back to Jordan Peterson, but when Jordan Peterson was having that debate with the other guy, the philosophy guy, yeah, and he was just talking about, Jordan Peterson was talking about like, oh, the Marxist philosophers and all this other shit, and so it's like, who? Like, you've got this big conspiracy, but there's no names attached to it, and this shit is just like all of us are ringing the alarm bell today, because like we're all educated in history, especially like the history of the left, and we know how this shit tends to go down. Mm-hmm. But also, it's very possible that this will be just like when Trump thought Obama put wiretaps in the microwaves and shit, and was watching him eat a hot pocket. like everything with Donald Trump is not really a threat to your life. Like, this man is just an old ass buffoon. It's important to kind of think in that context. Like, this is a buffoon. Buffoons can be dangerous. Like, buffoons can cause damage, but like we're dealing with like the ramblings of a profoundly stupid, demented ass, old ass man. We're not dealing with like the fucking Duterte or whatever. Like, okay.
I mean, I might disagree ever so slightly in that I think that Donald Trump is a performer in the same way that George Bush often performed a certain kind of like ignorant attitude towards things. But Donald Trump is also Bush was smarter in real life. Let's just say that much than Donald Trump is in real life.
Yeah, Bush performed like that dumb Texas good old boy yeehaw kind of act. That's all true, and he was nothing like that. And everybody who talks about Bush says Bush dropped that shit as soon as the camera turned off, and he was a fucking Connecticut, well-educated coastal elite. Knew what the fuck he was talking about. He
retired from being president and went on to like oil painting. That's not country boy shit. That's as bougie as it gets.
Yo, and he was like a fundy Christian, and all that stuff was real. But like all this Texas, we're gonna smoke them out. That was just shit for the cameras. But Trump, the thing is, Trump is genuinely a dumbass, and I tell you why. Rex Tillerson thinks he's a dumbass. Mattis thinks he's like, the people that work with him, whose job it is to like work with him when the cameras is off. All of them are just like, yeah, he's a fucking idiot. He is just a guy with fantasies. He's got conspiracy.
Yeah, I mean, he's a compulsive liar. This is very obvious if you've watched Trump speak at all, either as president or beforehand. If you go back to watching him be a media personality, he was also lying all the time, and it was very obvious. Compulsive liars tend to like frustrate everyone around them, even the people that like have to suck up to them, because it's like people like Trump, they'll lie about things that don't matter. You'll walk into the room, you'll be like, hey, Trump, are we still having that meeting at 8? And he'll be like, no, I said the meeting was at 7. It was always at 7. You're like, I booked a bunch of people for 8. You said 8. Yes. He's like, no, I always said 7. It was 7. And he'll just insist that it was 7 for no reason. That's how compulsive liars are.
Right.
But anyway, I actually wanted to take a step back though and talk a little bit about like just kind of like fascism in general.
Wait, before we do that,
go ahead.
I do just have one more note on this.
Get the takes.
We don't be too shook of Donald Trump. I just want everybody to have that in their mind. Because like you talked about him being a performer, and he performs tough guy performances. Donald Trump is not really about that action. At no time in his life has he really been about that action.
Yeah, let me just say, George Bush pretended to be dumb. Donald Trump pretends to be tough.
Correct. Yes, exactly. Yo, exactly. So what you are looking at right now is not to reassure y'all, the beginning of the fascist takeover of the United States. This is like a 75-year-old man who is in the bunker and feels humiliated because of you.
When you say this isn't the beginning of fascist takeover and then 70, I thought you were going to say this is a 75-year plan.
That could also be true. That could also be true. But whatever happens, Donald Trump's not going to be the person to implement it. He is in his bunker right now. He is humiliated because of the people of the United States. He is humiliated and deeply fearful, and he is lashing out.
I think I would put it another way. Donald Trump may not be the puppet, or maybe the puppet that declares fascism, but that's all he is. He's the end result of a thing that would, they could replace him tomorrow and it wouldn't matter to the actual people who have been like pulling the strings and making these plans for decades.
Right. But I don't know if they can. The political system tends to filter out people who are just complete, genuine, unredeemable pieces of shit because you can't get along with anybody. So you can't like get to the top. That part of him is what like appeals to so many Republican voters. Like they love that he's just like a genuine, corrupt, irredeemable shit. I don't know if that's gonna last. If that's gonna transfer to whoever the next guy that they get in there. Whoever they get in there afterwards is going to be doing that as a performance to a certain degree. They're going to be like doing a cover of Trump. You know how we have Pete Buttigieg going around America, like pretending to be Obama, like doing this and talking like this and doing this. We're in 2024, and like there's a lot of fear. Will Trump leave off? I think he'll just leave when
Pete Buttigieg literally out there right now saying shit like racism is as big or as small as the love that we have for our communities in our neighborhoods.
You're barely exaggerating.
I'm not even really exaggerating. I'm just paraphrasing. Like
right. So
okay, I want to
before we get to fascism, there's going to be a wave of wannabe Trumps coming to America, and they're all going to be trying to be like him. And it's
already happening.
Yeah.
Marco Rubio is a wannabe Trump now. Like he went from, he kind of had his own thing a little bit before that. Now he's just a full blown wannabe Trump. He just posts like MAGA.
Yeah.
Censorship.
Yeah. Rubio has always been like a totally useless stuff suit. He'll never go anywhere.
Yeah.
Aside from where he's at, because everybody can kind of, even the Republicans just see through him and don't like him. So let's talk about fascism. What do you got?
So I really want to talk about in particular something that we are observing in a lot of the media right now, and especially the narratives that Donald Trump himself is pushing, which is simultaneously weak and strong. And this is a central tenet of fascism. And some of you might be familiar with this, but I find that a lot of people aren't as familiar with this stuff necessarily or haven't been refreshed on it in a while. When Donald Trump both presents like Antifa and other conservatives are doing this too, and a million Twitter chuds are doing this right now, as these like weakling little babies who don't know anything, like dumbing little whatever, but also a dangerous terrorist organization that has been destroying the country. That's the weak and strong enemy that fascists like to create. And it's completely contradictory. And so that's why Donald Trump, everything about him is so even more contradictory than usual right now. I mean, he is a guy that loves to fucking contradict the position that he took 6 weeks ago. And even by his standards, he just seems to not be doing anything like he says that he would. He's hiding in a bunker. He hasn't made public appearances. He's not talking to protesters. He's not giving speeches. He's literally not doing any of the things that he constantly cries for people to do in these situations. You can find tweets about him talking about Obama, about President Xi, about any number of political figures saying they need to step forward and be a bold leader and make a speech to the protesters or, something like that.
He'd love to be that kind of guy, but he's not. That's not in his chest. And it's important.
He doesn't even mean it. He doesn't even mean it. Because again, this is part of the weak, strong thing. The weak, strong thing applies to both your enemies and yourself when you're a fascist, because you yourself, you're being strong while not doing anything That's another like central tenet of fascism. I'm being strong. I'm being strong. He's not doing. He's sitting in a bunker waiting around for the shooting to start.
He's
excited.
He's on conference calls telling mayors to like rough people up.
Yeah, he's like, why? He's calling governors saying, "Why haven't you started shooting people yet?"
Yeah, exactly.
Like that was the video. Maybe we should watch that.
If you want to pull that up, then I wouldn't mind.
I can pull that up very easily.
Well, while we do that, I'm gonna just talk a little bit because the thing about the Trump and Antifa is just how ridiculous everybody's conception of Antifa is. It's all hipsters. Like everybody who talks about this, and it's Democrats and Republicans, are all beating up on the same image of a white hipster as what Antifa is. So if you see a video, you know, they're not wearing shirts, they're not on a payroll, they're not on an organization. It's just a white guy and they're in a beard and that they got tattoos. That's Antifa. If it's a black person, then it's like, I don't know, black people are wild. Right. Yeah, exactly. This is going to be, y'all keep in mind, this is going to be this year's Acorn, potentially. It's just going to be like the thing that's on the news, Acorn, the Caravan. There's always some new bullshit every 2 years to get old white people out the house. And they do it. They use it. And they do it very well. You got a video. Show it to me. What do we got?
This is the audio of Trump talking with the governors.
All right.
And it's quite the thing to behold if you haven't heard it yet. And even if you've heard it once, it's definitely worth listening to a few times because it's bizarre as shit.
Let's full screen it and play it. Do you mind that?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. Can you read what's happening? Because the screen's not, we got to queue up our videos to play on the stream. So
is it not?
Yeah, the audio's not playing. So
there's no audio?
No. Just tell Pete, just read it.
Oh, okay. Apparently there's no audio.
Yeah.
I'm going to start this over and I'm just going to read it off. Basically saying they're a laughing stock all over the world. He's talking about the police. They took over the police department. The police were running down the street, sirens blazing. He said he's speaking in that like half sentence way that he does. So he's like talking about them wiping out the precinct. But
Kennedy, what are you doing? You're not reading.
Sorry,
we might have an audio audience.
Listen,
people don't pay attention to this with their whole chest. Get it together. Let's go.
Listen.
I need to do this.
I'm trying to decipher Trump speech.
I can do
very hard.
I can do Trump.
Very hard. Okay.
Bring it back up.
This
You're
guy.
pathetic.
No, listen. This
You're
guy.
Canceled, buddy.
Speaks.
You're canceled. You're fucking canceled. We're live on air, and you're like, man, he's saying a lot of stuff. This is your job. Is to know the.
I thought the video was gonna play.
The video did play.
We gotta get the audio working. That's the real problem.
Well, in the future, we'll queue it up. We've got like an overlay thing, and we can play videos. But you gotta, all right. Hit the video, play it. I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna teach you how to win. I'm gonna show you how it's done.
Do it bigly. Do it bigly.
I'm gonna do it bigly. All right. Can you bring it up?
I sent it to you.
You sent it to me?
Yes.
So now I need to like
get on charge now.
I have to like get on Discord. I've got to listen. Don't do all that. Bring up the video the same way that you had it, because then I've got to take my eyes off our viewers and I've got to go click on some stuff. Like,
all right, settle down, Brandon. Settle down. You had your moment. You feel better?
A little. Okay, do it. These governors, they're weak. We're the laughing stock of the world. CNN has obtained exclusive audio of Donald Trump. We've got to go out. We got to dominate. We got to kick some ass, take some names. They took over the police department. Police were running down with they were running down with sirens, and I have never seen police doing anything like this, running away, and the whole world was laughing. We were a laughing stock of the whole world. The whole world was cracking up. Japan, they were laughing. All of a sudden, I say, governors, you got to use the National Guard. And they did. They did. And there were 1,000 tanks. You know, I love parades. It was great. I don't know what it was. It was last night. Once you dominate, once you take it to the hole, once you boom shakalaka some protesters, then you get respect. You get the money. You get the power. You get the cops. You get the respect. All right. What are we? I live in Manhattan.
He lives in Manhattan.
He lives in Manhattan, by the way. All right, for our audio listeners who weren't paying close attention, I'm doing my best out here. Baby voice. Yeah, tell me about it. Listen,
he has the worst voice. I forget how bad it is sometimes. Because like I really don't try to like watch videos of him or listen to him speak. You know, I just try to like read people like writing what he wrote. You know, just like read like the recap of the speech or whatever. And like, yeah, it's his voice.
For the disabled community, just know I do it for you. It's all for you. Also, baby Trump, baby Trump. Okay. Anyway, oh God, you're already dancing. So, do we have anything?
I'll start clapping in a second.
Oh God, we'll get Lau in here and get him to drop some bars too while we all at it. So, Trump urging police violence. What do you want to talk about that subject? Aside from the fact that like he is acting out and lashing out of rage, weakness, and humiliation, but let me tell you who else lashes out of rage, weakness, and humiliation and gets people killed. The police. So they're brothers in arms. They got kinship, and just somebody like using their last resort shouldn't be totally dismissed. He has been calling governors and mayors, and according to all reports, he sounds completely fucking unhinged, and very desperate, and like very transparent. However, everybody's kind of playing along because it's a police union, and I guess we can talk a little bit about why that is happening.
We'll talk about police unions in a minute, I think.
Yeah, let's get to that later because like that might be a whole different carton of eggs that we got to crack open on this mug.
For sure.
Let's just talk about the fact that so many mayors who go out here and tell people to vote are showing why people don't vote. They're demonstrating the reasons why most people don't fucking bother. And it's...
Yeah.
Did you hear this shit about Joe Biden?
You talk about where you shoot people?
Instead of shooting people, the cops, they're going out, they're attacking people. What we used to do in my day was we would shoot people tactically.
I just want to say it's worse than you're making it sound right now.
Oh my God!
Like you were exaggerating the Trump thing slightly, but you're downplaying what Biden said. It may not be intentional, but Joe Biden literally said, "When the cops shoot unarmed people,
right?
When the cops shoot unarmed people,
shoot unarmed people,
I'll make this the banner. Hold on. When cops
shoot unarmed people, they aim tactically and they hit the kneecap. And that way they don't die, but they feel that shit. They don't get up. And a voice would come on over the intercom and it would say, target eliminated. You step over them and you let them know what for. This is why, low key, I feel like Keisha Bottoms is moving up in the VP sweepstakes this week. Because I feel like the energy she brought to her in the protest, like she's like, just because so many of these people who are running are like, we already decided we want a woman. We can't have a woman that has criminal justice issues. Amy was really the leader, but now I feel like she's out now.
She's done. Yeah. Biden campaign told her she's done. And
yeah.
I mean, her fingerprints are just all over this situation.
Anything can happen, but because like white injustice knows no boundaries and it's always brazen. It's always brazen, but I feel like she's out.
Yeah.
I think there are limits, and that will be a limit. But the people who you have left, Stacey Abrams, does not have any chemistry with Biden. She's a very good organizer and administrator, but I don't think she's a state House rep. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that. Let's just be clear about the Stacey Abrams thing too. Joe Biden, like he had his campaign staff kind of quietly leak to the press the way that these campaigns do, that Amy was no longer really in consideration, and campaigns do this kind of shit all the time. Their staff, their high level staffers go talk to the press, and that gives a little bit of separation between the candidate and whatever's going on.
Right.
He brought Stacey Abrams on his show and was like, nope.
Here's the thing.
He didn't even distance himself from that. He was just like,
I have some people in Atlanta who are extremely enthusiastic about Stacey Abrams and think that she should be like the president right now. Stacey Abrams very openly campaigned for this job by the standards of someone who is trying to become vice president. Mm-hmm. She just behaved kind of thirsty, and the Biden campaign are very old-fashioned people. They're very old-fashioned Democrats, and I think that they found Stacey Abrams' promotional campaign to be gauche or whatever you want to call it. They weren't into it, and I don't think they're into her. And I feel like the Biden Stacey Abrams appearance was a practical joke. I think that they put that together to fuck with her. And we can talk about the ethics of that or whatever, but it definitely feels to me like they wanted the face of her going and then getting dunked on and then like going. I think that they like really got off on that. So there's Stacey Abrams. We've talked about her. There's like Kamala Harris, who's like a prosecutor. That's not ideal. There's some less known people like Val.
Yeah, I would say that it's Kamala is also probably not a strong contender right now. Like I think she was in the running off and on, but she's always been a little shaky, and like this is but again, Biden said shoot people today.
Yeah, we don't know.
So fucking maybe he'll be like, yeah, Kamala.
Kamala has a lot of institutional support in the Democratic Party. So all the people who supported Kamala are going to rock with her. If y'all remember, the party practically lined up behind her before she even like started running. Like it seemed like she was people's first choice. She just didn't catch on. And she was definitely like the CNN, Time Warner Empire's first choice. So there will be people advocating for her, and she might slide in there. But yeah, Joe Biden has plenty of experience. He just needs a young person who can maybe speak to some demographics that he doesn't speak to. I can see on paper Keisha Bottoms being a person that fits that. But I also think for the same reason that none of these other black women are going to ultimately get in there, someone's going to pull up a map of the Electoral College and they're going to say, where does this person help? Right. And Keisha Bottoms is like unknown outside of Atlanta. So where does she help? Because Keisha Bottoms ain't going to flip Georgia. Like she's not like, she's a machine like politician. Like if you have like a big city mayor, like that's like basically what she is. So she doesn't really add anything to like flip a state or anything like that. So I kind of think it'll be just some white lady. It'll be Whitmer or somebody like that. Stacey Abrams' favorite book, Atlas Shrugged. Open your eyes. Think about it. So
I just want to go back to saying Joe Biden saying when the cops shoot unarmed people. I think it's so distressing. Yeah, like Brandon was saying, when people ask why don't people vote? This is why. Joe Biden shouldn't be saying when. He shouldn't even be saying if the cops shoot unarmed people. I would argue he should be saying that this is going to stop, that the cops are going to stop shooting unarmed people, period. That's going to be a thing that ceases, and that if it happens, whatever, like something would happen, he should be saying something like that, which this wouldn't even be a statement to be strong enough, in my opinion, in terms of like where we need to go right now. But it would still be like, oh, he's against police violence. Joe Biden was like, when the cops shoot unarmed people, they should aim for a leg also, and try to take them down. And
also, I don't believe in Medicare for all, so I don't know how you're going to get that patched up, buddy, because your Obamacare plan probably does not cover gunshot wounds.
No,
it's probably not. You're probably ruined forever. It just is what it is.
There will be a clause in the new Obamacare package that says if the
If a
police
cop needs
brutalizes you,
you can get
you
30%
can't
off your premium.
no, you can't get health care.
Oh, that's even worse. I thought you were going to give them like a 30% discount.
Being brutalized by the cops is a pre-existing condition, Brandon.
God damn. God damn. Okay, so with all that kind of laid out and discussed and shared and knocked out, let's talk a little bit.
Did you want to talk about police unions?
I feel like, well, we got to talk about what mayors are doing. Because we can't really explain. Well, like we can do it in either order, but I feel like we should just kind of talk about why are mayors acting like this? Because I saw a tweet that was like, every Democratic mayor has been like, I see you, I hear you, I'm not doing anything to help you. The curfew's in 30 minutes, and I've just given the police new aerodynamic beating sticks. That is literally the vibe from every like LA.
I'm probably gonna tweet that later. The exact quote that you just said.
Yeah, you'll have to retweet it because it exists already.
Oh,
but
okay.
It might be on my timeline. New York, we need a New Yorker here to talk about how bad Mayor de Blasio has been. He's been full bootlicking. He's been deep throating the boot. This is supposed to be like America's most progressive mayor. Buddy, like you could be the hero right now. All these mayors, Keisha Bottoms, Bill de Blasio, Garcetti, Lightfoot, name some more, whoever the fuck. Whatever.
My mayor, Tim Keller. Very upset with that guy.
All of y'all motherfuckers could be heroes right now. All of y'all could be leaders. Y'all could be like demonstrating to the entire nation, like, wow, I have a different method of handling incidents like this. And it's something that rallies people to my side. I can be on CNN talking about how, we had a few buildings busted, but everybody got home safe and the protests are going to be over in a few days. You would have looked great. But all of y'all chose the dumb option, which is like extreme neo-lib bullshit. And now Republicans hate you and use you as an example of look at all this shit that's happening with a Democrat mayor. And also the left also hates you. Basically, the only people that approve of your actions right now are like MSNBC and local news stations who have been like deep throating the boot in hilarious ways, and it's just been not good to look at. So,
yeah, it's ridiculous.
Do you want to talk about your mayor's response? Because I feel like Keisha's response has been all over the news. Everybody saw her giving the deep voice. How are you dare you guys tear up your own city? Like it's it's literally like 3 windows. There's a sign in the CNN Center. It's repaired. Fucking everything. Like nobody lost anything. Everything's fine. It was 2 days ago. But yeah, and the images of the actual police violence, of course, will be here forever. Those people have medical bills forever. It's a fucking mess. So what's going on everybody knows about Atlanta. So what's going on your side of the world?
So we didn't have a lot of protests like kick off right away, the way a lot of other cities did.
Yeah.
I have my reasons for suspecting this, but they're not that important. But we did have a protest on Thursday night when like a lot of shit was initially going down, and it was really, really small. Like, this is what I really want to emphasize about the ridiculousness of this situation I'm about to describe is like the police like came out in full riot gear Thursday night and like tear gassed and brutalized. It was like 5 people and they're tear gassing them. Like there were more cops there than protesters. I don't think you need tear gas when there are more cops than protesters by any measure, even like a very fucking authoritarian one. I feel like this is still a bit far. Like you've already surrounded these people with fucking police and riot gear. They're not gonna do anything. Like it's over. Nothing else is like, yes, some things did happen leading up to that in terms of like, I think a car was lit on fire and some other stuff that like, and again, I don't think that this justifies the police behavior. I'm just explaining that like, this is why the police were like in full gung-ho mode,
right? Do you feel like there's like some excitement in the cops, like they get to use their toys finally? They spent. Maybe I'm jumping ahead of you, but they got
No.
all this fucking money on military hardware, on the fucking cruisers and the armored trucks and the gas. They want to use that shit, man. They want to feel like He-Man. So as soon as they got the chance, it was like, yeah, go for it, do it.
I saw a thing. So people were talking about that here in our city, the cost to repair all the damage that has been done by the protests on Thursday and the ones last night, which I'll talk about in a second, is less by millions of dollars than the amount of money that the cops have to spend on like restitutional charges and stuff because of like the things that they do. This is just in Albuquerque. Like if you go look into your police department now, cops do have a lot of immunity from stuff. So these numbers would be higher if the immunity was not given to them to like get away with all kinds of illegal shit. But like if you look into your local police department, your local police department has a budget that's just for like payouts for shit that they did wrong. And that is millions of dollars if you live in a decent sized city. It is not a small fund. It is a huge part of their budget. And again, like we're talking about like the damage that's been done to the city so far in terms of like vandalism, that kind of stuff, is to the tune of like tens of thousands or maybe at the high end hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's not even close. It's not even close to the amount of money the cops spend paying for the bullshit that they're doing all the time.
None of this shit makes any sense. It does not make any financial sense. It does not make any moral sense. It does not make any strategic sense. This is police unions looking to justify their existence. It is a president that is been getting owned right now and is lashing out wherever they can. And it is like a population that is like, for the large part, like kind of apathetic to what's going on. Luckily, it doesn't. This is a situation where, because this is an unprecedented action in American history, like this is brand new shit. We are in brand new territory. The fact that I say, well, you know, the majority of the American people are apathetic about this, it doesn't matter, because we collectively are holding our own nuts on this. And we have enough that you can change the discourse, you can change the conversation, you can change the policy, because the embarrassment that all these leaders are going through is just like a lot. That energy needs to be maintained, and it needs to be put into ends that, like, I don't want to quote Killer Mike this week, but you know, he talked about it's important to organize. It is important to organize. We don't need to organize while going, oh, please don't, this is Wakanda, and we do the Wakanda salute. We don't need to do all that, but we do actually need to organize so that this can be a steady and sustainable rage instead of like a week-long rage where we're all fucking tired. I know a lot of people who are listening to this are fucking exhausted after just a weekend.
Yeah,
you are putting yourself under a lot of stress to do this, so you can't do it year in and year out. And unfortunately, like, you're not getting paid to do it unless you're in Antifa and you're getting six-figure checks from George Soros, I guess. But the rest of us, like, are just doing this shit on our free time in between our day job. We're taking time out of shit that could be making us fucking healthier and happier because we care about other people. Is Killer Mike canceled? Let's talk about that real quick.
I think we should.
He's not canceled. He's in a state where he's always semi-canceled.
I was about to say Killer Mike gets micro canceled.
Yeah,
like
he gets micro
times a year.
Several times a year. Like whether it's him talking about how great it is to be a landlord, all black people need to become landlords, or him talking about, oh, I love guns. I've been an NRA member. Every black person needs to own a gun.
Ethical millionaires.
Yeah,
a lot of stuff.
If you've ever listened to Killer Mike, like, and like he's from, like, just know him for way before he got famous, before he blew up. Everybody knows what he's like, and there's a lot of very good stuff, and there's also not good stuff. So he's not canceled, but we all just go, oh,
he's having one of these.
He's
ones
having
right
one
now.
of those days. Yeah. Same with T.I.
Yeah.
Who they're both better than like Jay-Z, but they
Should
still
we
will
talk
make
about Jay-Z? I don't even know.
God, man. I don't even he's just one of the most frustrating people on the planet. He will never make a move unless it directly relates to him getting money. He likes to dress his getting money moves as I'm doing the real work here for change. They've all fucking co-opted that neoliberal fucking
Oh yeah.
like in the way that all
every single time Jay-Z makes $1 million, he's like, I did this for the people.
I did
And
this
it's
for the
like,
people.
what people did you do it for? Seems like just you're the person.
in the same way that like the Karen industrial complex uses the language of social justice to like hide their personal narcissism and grievances. Jay-Z also uses the neoliberal language of political activism as a shield for again money. So he's always talking about, you know, the hard choices and getting things done and that kind of shit. He might have taken a cue or two from Obama. I'm just saying. Obama on the text, you should be afraid of what I'm going to do next.
And of course, the problem with this neoliberal fucking shit that Jay-Z is doing is that it's exactly the same as what neoliberals do to progressives all over the place all the time, because there are rappers who do take the money back to their community and try to do something with it. And Jay-Z is just not one of those people, period, at all.
Jay-Z says that he does all of his stuff in private. We'll learn that one day, like 50 years from now. At the moment, we have to just kind of take his word for it. I don't know. I can't I don't know, but it would be great if those people who have made, and this ain't just Jay-Z now, this is like a whole suite of people. I don't have to name them out by name to get their fucking Twitter fans think. But y'all know who the ones are that have made so much dough on black people in the last like 10 years and are black when it's convenient. And then when something like this happens, they either don't say shit or they say some really carefully cultivated shit that's designed not to piss off their donors. And they end up sounding like a fucking Joe Biden statement. So y'all know who them ones is. I don't have to like, but just like
yeah, I just want to say, I can't think of the guy's name right now. Maybe you could help me out here. But like, who is the guy that Jay-Z said in a song he would never let go broke? Do you remember this?
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about?
Was that Dame? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Memphis.
No, Memphis.
Yeah, that's right.
Memphis Bleak. Yeah,
hit away his whole career.
Yeah, Jay-Z, you know, he came up with all these other dudes. He left them all by the wayside. Memphis Bleak is broke as shit. And Jay-Z is just sitting around with like piles of cash. Like, I don't know, man. I just said that shit in the song. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, listen, like all of these big rap dudes, they all have like a flock of dudes that hang around them, and they juice them up, and they fucking take their songs and shit like they're, because you know most artists have like 1.5 really good albums inside them, right?
Right.
Like there are a few that keep it chugging or whatever, but like, you know, you have that dope one album, and then you have like one kind of good album, and then, you know,
kind of slides after that for a lot of people.
Yeah. So like a lot of these rappers, they get these guys to give like their fucking best ideas to them, and they say, hey, you're rolling with a kingpin now, and you're getting money, like you are living a different lifestyle. And so those people go in for that, but they never get put on. Their album don't come out, or come out like 3 years later, or the shit come out and it's like not that good, or the shit come out and it don't get promoted,
right?
Or and Jay-Z is infamous for this. He just like puts the shit in the attic somewhere and it's like, yeah, you got to have a hit. It's like, Nick, I wrote you, I gave you my hit. What do you mean? So, you know, it just goes how it goes.
Yeah, it's rough.
I'm sorry for everybody who tuned in for like a real discussion of police violence, and now we're talking about the rap game. Maybe that'll be a spinoff podcast. Right?
I feel like we could talk about the rap game for hours, honestly, you and me.
Oh God. Okay. It would be a fun thing. We're going to get into the YouTube video essay world one day. And maybe the rap game is something that we should make one of the things that we get into. But anyway, what else do we got? We got
Well, I just wanted to say one more thing, which is I think it's worth talking about the intersection of this stuff sometimes, in particular though, because like you kind of already said, there are these people sort of not just making money off Black culture, but specifically making money off of this movement right here, Black Lives
Oh yeah.
Matter,
Oh yeah.
without contributing to
Oh
it.
yeah.
And I think that like that is something that people are starting to call out right now in this particular set of protests, but it has largely gone unnoticed in terms of like a lot of people have kind of gotten away with, yeah, I'm with Black Lives Matter. I wrote a song about Black Lives Matter. Buy my T-shirt that mentions the song I wrote about Black Lives Matter. And then you look into it, and it's like there's no proceeds going to anyone. And if we were going to defend Killer Mike a little bit, one of the things you can say for Killer Mike is that he does give money back to the right places
Yeah.
sometimes.
When
And
when Keisha said half of West Atlanta is T.I. and Killer Mike, she was only exaggerating a little bit. Like
it's like the way that like LeBron James is a whole economy, Killer Mike is a whole economy.
between Mike to Tyler Perry, like yeah, that's a lot of Atlanta is running under them.
So I just want to say Killer Mike does. I think one of the reasons Killer Mike kind of gets away with sometimes making us a little uncomfortable by being like wishy-washy neoliberal in some of his random statements a few times a year is because he puts his money where his mouth is enough when it counts. He's given money to multiple families that have been affected by police violence. And when I say money, I'm not talking $10 or $100. I'm talking tens of thousands.
Yo, Kennedy, Virgil Abloh gave $50, bro, to the fucking bail fund. Virgil, $50.
Do better, dude. Do better.
Like, yo, one of my friends from New England dropped $300 on this, and she has like a regular ass person with a job. That's like it was half of her paycheck. I was like, God damn, are you for real? Are you fucking for sure?
I have a friend who would not want to be named on air, but who dropped like $1,000 on bail fund this week, and is not like crazy wealthy or anything, but was just like, this is important. Do
I know that friend?
No.
Okay. Yeah. People who don't have it are giving it, man. Like 50, like, damn, 50 is almost. I don't know what Virgil's situation is, but he's like a very high-end designer. 50 is almost like an insulting amount of money.
Whereas we can point to examples of Killer Mike giving away literally to the tunes of like $50K to a single cause, and stuff like that. So
he's really.
And of course, charity isn't everything, but
no, he doesn't have. You don't have to give like. Honestly, like there's so much shit going wrong. If a celebrity was like, "What are you doing for Black Lives Matter?" and it's like, "Man, I just gave a whole bunch of money to these nurses, man. I need to chill out for a little bit." I'd be like, "Man, okay." Like, but for some reason, $50 seems a little bit like $50. Murasaki says, "Rap battles, go." No, absolutely not.
You don't actually. You don't want to see me rap.
Listen, if you subscribe to the Patreon, we'll hit you up.
When we start making $100 a month on Patreon every single month,
we'll drop bars.
We'll drop bars.
We'll drop some bars. We got to get to that 100. We're at like 45 right now. I don't know what the number is. We'll work on it. We'll improve it. But anyway, I do want to like circle back around. Damn, this feels like a corporate ass meeting. We'll circle back. Okay. But I do want to, but like for real, I do want to revisit.
Can we check Robert's Rules of Order real quick?
Bro, don't say Robert. Don't use that word around me because I'll start fucking wilding out. Hey,
having a moment.
Oh my god, bro! I don't even want to. I can't even talk about. Off air. I will. God damn. Okay, but let me backtrack a little bit because what we're talking about, Mike and Keisha and these mayors, was all in the service of why are these mayors like so dependent on the police unions, dependent on the police. And it's because the police, this doesn't need to be said, but let's say it. They have physical leverage on the mayor in a way that maybe the district attorney, they don't have. It's like a unique amount of physical leverage because the police are the security detail for the mayor. So first of all, that level of access means like you can tweet at the mayor all you want, and that's fine. But like the police are literally in the mayor's face all day. The mayor sits down, and there's like the police, like, and if you're doing something, the police commissioner can just walk in and just fucking, if they don't like some shit that you're doing. So
every time you're planning your next big event that you're going to have as the mayor, and you're asking the police chief, hey, well, you're going to provide security for this event. The police chief's like, I don't know. Did you look at that proposal I sent you yesterday? Because if you didn't look at that, then I don't know.
Right.
And
I don't know what we're doing here. Right.
And just turning the screws as any chance they get.
They also have the ability to just shit talk you. Like the cops literally can just shit talk you. And so they can just hop on Twitter and be like, hey, the mayor fucking sucks. The mayor is not protecting the police officers. They're endangering you. New York does that shit all the time. If you're familiar with like Chicago,
New York, that's like all New York's like police union Twitter is.
Yeah,
like New York police union Twitter is just all day, just like the mayor is wants you to die today to terrorists, and the only thing standing between you and those terrorists is this fat guy in riot armor we have in this picture.
That's like the comically big fat dude in riot armor too. With like the riot armor is not even filling his gut. It's just, you got a second layer. Okay. But with all that said, like the police not only have like incredible levels of access to the mayor's office, and also they have a lot of sway over the budget, because again, a mayor that runs, if you run against the mayor and you say like there's crime, and there's always crime because the news is always going to cover crime, as much as possible because it gets eyeballs more than whatever pussy left-wing community development fucking shake hands and hug shit you got cooked up. Murder is more interesting. It's more entertaining. So as whatever you're doing as the mayor, there will be crime first and foremost in the minds of a lot of voters. That is like the news industrial complex runs off crime. And it's usually crime stories about people of color in white neighborhoods. If y'all have seen the movie Nightcrawler, that shit is not an exaggeration at all. So given
that's a good movie, by the way.
Oh, it's a dope movie. When we have our movie spinoff podcast, we'll definitely make that one of our, we'll make that part of just give that dude a whole night. But anyway, so there will be someone who is running against you for mayor and talking about crimes that have happened because you don't have the power to eliminate crime. And they're going to say the police are pissed off at the mayor and crimes are happening. It's time to get rid of that mayor. That's just what it's going to be. So that mayor has a political flank that they need to cover, period. And they also have guns. They I'm not.
Also, let's just be honest. The police protect the ruling class. A lot of our politicians are in the ruling class.
Correct.
There is a sympathetic relationship between these two groups.
Of course.
Look,
the police, the smart ones, they like this. Like New York and Chicago are two totally separate animals from the rest of the country, right? Like that's a totally different world. But like LA, Houston, Atlanta, Miami, Raleigh, all those places, the police chiefs dial it down a little bit. Like they're not acting like Judge Dredd all the time. Our police chief is like a 5'5" woman, and she's very good on making the social justice platitudes. So like the police are not just the jackboot. Like they, politically speaking, they are willing to meet these Democrat mayors halfway. They are willing to say the right things, but they just want to preserve their budget and protect their officers, because also there's a second political layer, because the police chief has got to worry about like the union and protecting that union, and there's going to be someone else. Like there's a whole different layer of politics there, and this is why this is why it's bullshit when people are like, just go vote, because there's such an interlocking web between the mayor, the police chief, the police union, the commission. Like there's so many unelected bodies. There's so much going on that it's not like you're going to win an election and then justice. That's not how the shit works at all. There are interlocking systems of power that like lay on each other, and they are designed to produce bad outcomes for regular people.
Yeah, when someone like Keisha Bottoms gets on the news and says, to fix this, you need to vote, it's like, we voted for you and it ain't fixed. What the
Yeah,
fuck are you saying?
god damn, really.
Like, um, how are some people supposed to look at, especially politicians, elected officials saying this?
Yeah,
It's one thing for somebody who is maybe not in office yet to say, elect me and all blah, blah, blah. I don't necessarily buy it, but at least that's a more compelling argument than I'm already in office. Keep voting. We'll get there. Maybe some more people will die, but we'll get there. Maybe.
yeah. I wish there was this kind of urgency about like, by the way, think about this shit, dude. All these protests could be over 3 days ago had those other 3 cops been arrested. Right?
I mean, we talked about this before, that if on day one they had just arrested all 4 officers and charged them all with first-degree murder, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. No one would be in the street. Nothing.
Like 90% of these folks would be home. The mayor of Minneapolis would go out and declare victory. We got it. We're working on it. Please give us patience. Justice will be done. Because most of these people do not want to be on the streets protesting. Nobody, there are like a handful of people who are in protest culture and they love to protest. Most people got shit to do. Most people would rather watch Netflix than protest. People are protesting because they feel like they have no other option. They feel like their government has fucking dropped the ball and failed them. They are there because they don't feel like they have a choice. And you've got to present people with those choices. So all of this brutality is because the political leverage that these cops have way outweighs the political leverage that you have, even with your life, your body, your eye socket, all this shit that's happening. So what can people do to lower that political leverage? I guess it's something we can say for like tomorrow, maybe.
Oh, yeah, I think we'll have to bring back that conversation tomorrow, most likely.
Yeah, because we spent a fucking hour just yelling at how bad this shit is.
Just yelling at Jay-Z, each other, Keisha Bottoms.
Yelling at Jay-Z is a way better episode title than
that'll be tomorrow's episode title.
Yelling at Jay-Z.
I just want to say before we take off that on the subject of protests, we absolutely completely support this shit, and Ren will be at a protest in New York. Ren is, for those of you who don't know, is our editor. They don't come on a lot of episodes directly, but they work on basically everything that we do. All the content that we make, like Ren has a hand in, more or less. Just a really incredible person, and they are going to be out at a protest, and they are going to hopefully be live streaming that protest at least somewhat to this channel. So, which is something we've been trying to do since the protest started. We've been trying to get live stream of a protest, but it's been very complicated for a lot of reasons. But Ren is trying to like make a press badge and do some live streaming of the protest this afternoon.
I've been doing stuff. Rachel's been doing stuff. We've been on these streets. All that stuff's been happening. So that's a really good reason to donate to the Patreon. So we can like rent a good camera and all that kind of like equipment, laminating a bat, like all that kind of shit. Like all
that would let us like live stream out in public with higher quality and everything better. That is like literally some of the kind of stuff that we have on our list of like things that we want when we have money, because we could do more content like that. It's really challenging right now. We're struggling to actually technologically be able to do the content that we want to do to cover a protest like this. But yeah, so patreon.com/notsafe. If you're able to throw $1 over there, it makes a big difference. We appreciate you for tuning in.
If you're watching this, there's like 20 or 30 people watching this right now. I know half of y'all have $5, damn it. I know y'all have $5. So like give it to us, because like literally every dollar that we get is going into like making shit rock and spreading the word and researching and putting on shows and being entertaining and all kinds of shit. Give it up.
More journalism. We've been really working hard to counter the bad mainstream media narratives. That hasn't been in the bio lately because we've been putting silly stuff in the bio, but like that is something that we founded this show on, was attacking these like obviously false mainstream narratives that we knew we could prove false.
That's right.
And
so let's get in there. Let's do it. We're doing it. Let's keep doing it. We're gonna keep making the content. You keep like funding the content, being the backing partner, and get it done. So we're gonna come back tomorrow and we're gonna talk about political leverage and what can be done about it. It's the kind of thing you'll want to share with your friends. And we'll probably talk about one or two other silly bullshit things as well. So that's it. Thank you for watching, hanging out with us. It's been a good time. We'll talk to you again after a while. Bye-bye.
Later.
Yeah.